Welcome, friends, it's the MovieFilm Podcast. MovieFilm Podcast, enjoy the show. Zaki and Brian are talking about the movies. MovieFilm Podcast on the radio.
Welcome to MovieFilm. It is episode 250, brought to you by Mr. Boy Productions. I'm Zaki Hassan. He's Brian Hall.
Hey, how's it going, Zaki?
Dude, 250.
250. Feels good.
It is an arbitrary milestone, I guess, but...
Well, I mean, that feels like a number you stop and pause with, right? 250, 100, 200, 250 feels like the quarter of something,
The quarter of what? That's the question.
Yeah, right.
Do we stop at 1,000? Is that what that means?
Right. Oh, no. Yeah. Well,
What'd you lock us into?
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, but we mentioned in a previous episode, I think, that with the commentaries, we're well over 300.
Yeah, and plus, there's some where we just randomly split episodes in two. Remember that?
That's true. And we've had trailer reactions, which we haven't done in a while.
Okay, so these numbers mean absolutely nothing. Okay, so just ignore.
You know what, though? It looks good. It looks good written out.
That's fair.
Yeah.
You know what else looks good written out is the title, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I believe you're reading that off the Google Doc because
Yes.
I wanted to mention it this week. We talked about this movie when it was in theaters, and I think this was one of those movies that people expected.
And it's still in theaters, by the way.
Oh wow, is it really? Well, that makes sense, right?
Still doing pretty well, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it felt sort of like when Wes Anderson's French Dispatch came out. It did pretty okay for every movie that was coming back post peak COVID was sort of like, okay, well, how are blockbusters doing? How are independent movies doing? This is the highest grossing independent movie. This is the highest, you know what I mean? Like there were just all these like qualifiers for how each film was doing.
Right.
And I think people probably thought, oh, this will draw like, a small crowd and then it will find its life afterwards in streaming. But I think it was to people's surprise that this movie, I think, is getting close to $70 million total, which is the highest grossing A24 film. But this is a movie I think that's caught a lot of people by surprise, something that maybe they hadn't heard of. And then they checked out. We have a friend, a coworker of Federica's who checked this out knowing nothing about it and was raving to her about it the next day. Like, have you even heard of this? I didn't even know what this was. Like it kind of became that movie. And I only wanted to bring it up because we showed it to my brother and his girlfriend this past weekend because it is now available on streaming. And I loved it all over again. It was really fun. They had not even seen a trailer, so they didn't even know what they were getting into. And it was really fun watching them go, what is happening? And then once all the craziness starts to come into focus and as wacky as it is, begin to make sense, it was really fun watching it crystallize and them going, okay, and getting into it. And they both really liked it. And I think, I don't think it would hurt to watch a trailer just to get a heads up of what you're going into, because it might not be everybody's flavor. But I wanted to mention that it's available for purchase online now, and I think it will be available to rent streaming on July 5th. So just like another recommendation for that, because I loved it a lot. It's probably going to be one of my favorite movies of the year.
And I just want to say thank you to Brian for purchasing it in my Voodoo library and adding it. I got a notification. Brian Venmo'd you $20. And I was like, hey, what's this? I was like, hey, perfect. I've been wanting to rewatch it too.
Yeah, well, that was the thing, right? Like I use your Voodoo so much. And we've mentioned this before, but I've wanted to buy, it was Quick and the Dead. I wanted to buy that for you because I just wanted to watch it. But then it's like, well, it's connected to your accounts, right?
That's right.
So it's not like I can. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to PayPal him real quick and then just do it.
It's so funny because really, we do share this Voodoo account, and it's really we stay together, you and I, for the sake of the Voodoo account.
That's right. That's right.
At this point, we just want to raise the account right, make sure it doesn't come from a broken home.
That's right.
We want the movies to know mommy and daddy love them both.
Yeah, it's absolutely. That's
that's the only reason we're doing this show. Really, it's because of the Voodoo.
Yeah, and every now and then I'll feel like there's something I want to bring up that could be a little, could cause like a little crack here or there. But I just saw, well, Imitation Game just got added, so I've got to. I do want to see that.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to rewatching it. I've been telling Amina for a while, like, oh, you got to see it. So now it's perfect.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be. I can't wait to hear you tell us her reaction. So
It should be interesting. It's been fun over the last few days because my wife and my 3 older boys are off on a camping trip.
Oh,
So it's just me at home with my younger 2. So they're 8
Mhm.
and 5, and it's my youngest son and my daughter, and I look at them, and I just the way they interact with each other, and I'm like, they are Bart and Lisa.
Oh, really?
It is so funny. Like and that's not something I've ever experienced as a parent.
Right.
That's a new thing for me because I'm just looking at them completely, the other siblings. Because now, right, my 8-year-old, he spends his days just getting kicked around like a ball by the 3 older ones.
Sure.
Now they're out of the picture. Suddenly he's Bart. Like
That's so
he's
funny.
he's just perpetually scheming, and his sister is perpetually tut-tutting. It's very funny.
That is so adorable. That must be a lot of fun to watch.
It's been interesting. I was going to take him to see Lightyear.
Yeah.
That was my plan, and that is still my plan for possibly after I get off the call today.
Mhm.
But what I realized is, well, me kind of being like, well, I'll get to it when I get to it. I feel like that's what America has said.
It's very true. Yes. I don't know how many people saw it, but I bet a good number of people who have not are like, oh yeah, I will watch that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, I have one more theatrical thing I'll mention real quick, which is I saw Sneakers in 35 millimeter at the New Beverly Theater, Tarantino's theater down in Hollywood. And this was actually a surprise from Federica, where she's like, hey, this, I know you love this movie. It's screening this weekend. Let's go. And
now she had not seen it.
She has not seen it.
Wow, that's cool.
And I'd be willing to bet a lot of people you mentioned this to either don't remember it or haven't seen it. Right?
That's
it's just it's weirdly one of those movies that just kind of didn't leave a footprint, and or not a very big one at least. And so anyway, we went and we were running on time, but I was just thinking like, oh well, certain movies you want to get there a little early, make sure you get a seat and get some food before there's a line and stuff. And we show up and there's this line outside the theater. And I was like,
wow,
because I was thinking this one would be one of the like, half full kind of things. And then we go inside and it was I almost completely sold out screening. Like the whole theater was packed.
That makes me happy.
Oh, me too. And it's funny because afterwards we could hear some of the chatter, and I heard people say things like, "Oh, I remember the goose thing. I remember my voice is my pet. Yeah. Like it's like it came back to them as they were watching it. I think was what a lot of people experienced. And I say that as separating myself because you and I both watched it or rewatched it recently, not together, but so it was a little fresh in my mind. But man, it was such a joy watching it. On a screen. No divided attention, and with an audience that was so into it. They were laughing at everything, clapping at revelations. Like it's just, you wish you could do this for so many more movies, right? Like, I mean, you get the obvious ones with their anniversaries, like a Jaws or something, but you just wish you could cycle some of these movies because you feel like, oh, this would be a good way to build the audience for some of these movies that are sort of forgotten, but still crackle. I mean, it's a crackerjack movie.
It holds up even as the technology dates it pretty substantially.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what's smart about that though is it's funny. We mentioned this, I think, the last time we watched it, but there's a moment where they go in this room that's supposed to be like soundproof, and there's this sort of Hollywoody old 90s looking supercomputer. And I was
Right.
like, well, that's ridiculous. And then I looked it up and it turns out that was real. Like that was actually a real supercomputer at the time. And so, yeah, that is wacky. But I think what's great is the heist of it all and the drama of it all doesn't depend on modern tech or whatever the technology is. It's more about, I think about, there's like this, a slow speed chase, so to speak, at the end. And it's so genius because all you want is for them to hurry, but they can't. And like, that's the action, like it's not necessarily, well, the modem only goes at this speed, like the technical stuff doesn't too much factor into the end,
Right.
But it was funny because before it started, the new Beverly's MO is they show a cartoon short and then they show like 2 or 3 trailers that are related to the film you're about to watch. And it was so funny because they showed a trailer for the Pelican Brief. Like
Nice.
a woman who saw something she wasn't supposed to see kind of thing. And it was amazing because in my mind, I was like, yeah, that's good. Pelican Brief, that's a good movie. But the trailer makes it look like the dumbest, corniest movie ever. And you're like, wow, even like, when you watch like the Star Wars Blu-rays or something and they show the original Star Wars trailer and you're like, wow, how did that come across not silly? And then now I'm looking at things that I grew up with and I'm like, how did that not come across silly?
Yeah.
Because you got that super serious narrator, in a world. And then second trailer.
It's usually Don LaFontaine doing the narration.
Who's got a killer voice, but it's just the tone of what we take seriously. I think, it shifts over time and it's so deadly serious.
Well, and I think just the whole trailer guy concept has gone away.
Yes, it's almost distracting or something now. But yeah, now we need slowed down songs, right?
Right.
You make me wanna shout, kind of stuff. But the second trailer they showed was for The Net, the Sandra Bullock movie,
Oh, lordy. Okay.
Which is hilarious because they're like, Angela Bennett was just living her life. And it's like shows her ordering, a pizza over the internet, and they're like, they know everything, kind of a tone, and it was pretty hilarious. So
that movie is, man, talk about a time capsule, right? Like
totally. I've seen it on Netflix. I mean, that it's available. I would love to go back and just sort of revisit it. I think it came out in 95.
Yeah, it was right after Speed, because there was like a Sandra Bullock 1-2 punch where it was like Speed, The Net, and While You Were Sleeping, and I don't know the order of the latter two, but it was like, oh wow, she's a star. There was that moment where and to her credit, she's actually never stopped being a star.
Yeah, she shows up maybe less frequently, but when she shows up, it's an event.
Yeah, like her spotlight never waned, so good for her. But I think The Net, at least from what I remember, it's a testament to her charisma because the movie itself was kind of shit.
Yeah, I don't even remember it, to be honest.
Yeah.
There's certain things about it, but yeah, I imagine it would be an amusing time capsule now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of amusing time capsules, you saw another amusing time capsule.
I did. Okay, now first things first, I have to call out Carlos Bayo, who reached out and could not believe that I think we mentioned that I had not seen Bloodsport. I don't remember why. But then...
No, you just randomly say that. You say it every couple weeks. You're like, Zaki, so we're clear, I have not seen Bloodsport. And then we get on with,
That was when I was visiting and you were showing me, your newborn for the first time.
Yeah.
I was like, no, hold on. First things first.
Before you show her to me. Yeah.
I've heard of Kumite. I don't know what it is. No, so Carlos then wrote and was like, you gotta watch Bloodsport. And with genuine intentions, I wrote it down, was like, okay, I do have this list of things, so I don't forget the stuff I want to watch. I added it to the list. I will admit it was somewhere in the middle, long list. And so, but then Carlos reached out again recently following up, and then he was like, let me send you some gifts to encourage you. And And he did. And it was amazing. It was like gifts of, Van Damme like breaking bricks and things like that. And I was like, okay. No. I'm like actually in the mood to do this. This is perfect. So I sat down, I went on your Vudu and I watched Bloodsport. I saw it. So
well, mazel tov to the new couple.
Yes. I'm going to say something that people may not like. I think I missed a lot of Van Damme movies because growing up, there was Schwarzenegger, there was Terminator, there was Predator, there was, Kindergarten Cop as it went along and all that, True Lies. And I think to me, Van Damme was always like B movie Schwarzenegger. So like,
I agree. I had the same. To me, Van Damme, he was like Aldi brand Schwarzenegger. Like,
yeah,
when he can't go to Jewel, yeah.
Yes, right. Like I remember seeing Hard Target. I think that was the only movie I ever saw of his because I was at a sleepover
that's like
or something.
95 or something.
Okay, yeah, but I didn't feel like I was missing. I've never seen Terminator or something like that. Like it was just like, oh, I just kind of missed them, and I'll.
And you did not, like, just to be very clear. I mean, Van Damme, he I think when you look at the sweep of his career, you say it's a swing and a miss.
Yeah, but it's so interesting, right? Because I think it's the films themselves. Because he's a charismatic guy. I don't know if he could have gotten his own Terminator or something. Who knows? I mean, he was almost in Predator. Speaking,
he was in Cyborg,
which I've never seen.
Yeah. I think at this point we can just assume you have not seen.
Yeah, it's pretty safe to say. I think you.
I don't think you need to stipulate anymore. I think we.
No, you mentioned Street Fighter like a last time. I think maybe during Batman Returns or something. I was like, never seen it. Like I. But okay, so Bloodsport. I mean, I kind of knew what I was getting into, but I wasn't exactly sure. And these are my notes that I wrote down kind of as I was watching it. I said it's probably like trying to show UHF to someone now. You know what I mean? Where like when you were watching it and you came of age with it, it sort of like imprinted on you, but it definitely like like has it plays probably differently for someone who's coming to the party like 30 some years late.
Yeah.
And yet did it have me pumped up at the end? Yes, it did.
There you go. It worked some mojo on Brian.
Absolutely. I'm Carlos, I'm saying this all with love. I actually, during the first 15 minutes of this movie, thought this movie feels like a movie my brother and I would have made when we were 11. Because, especially the first half, because it's acted very stiffly, it's written very stiffly, it's edited very stiffly, and it's like people are talking to each other but kind of looking through one another. Like it's very, very almost humorously stiff in the first 30 minutes or so. And there's a part at the beginning, there's a flashback, a very, very long flashback that Van Damme has that was absolutely hilarious, where as a kid, I won't get into the whole thing, but basically the kid has this sort of adoptive, so to speak, brother, right? They become sort of brother-like, right? And one of the kids, not the Van Damme kid, but the other kid is beaten up at school. And then the Van Damme kid picks him up, and the kid just kind of out of nowhere just goes, "One day I will fight at the Kumite in Hong Kong."
Yeah.
And I was like, was there a page missing from the script and they didn't notice?
Well, what's hilarious is we go from there to what feels like a hard cut to like the kid, like his funeral shrine.
Yes, right.
And you're like, okay, well, I guess that's what happened. Did he die at the Kumite? I don't know. I think he did. I don't know.
But then something else that was hilarious.
I mean, it's like a Frank Grimes type situation.
Right. Because then, the kid's dad ends up training Van Damme. Yeah. And like welcoming him into the family and everything.
He's like, one day I'm going to be at the Kumite. Cut. It's too bad my son died at. You're like, oh,
yeah. Now you will go, and I will train you.
But by the you talked right past this the teenage Van Damme kid who I don't know if that's his real accent or if he's doing Van Damme's accent.
Do you want to know what I wrote? I almost was going to skip over it. I put young Van Damme. God bless him if that's a real kid. I don't know what to say. Dude, I don't know. I don't know what to make of that act. What that act is doing.
He's like, what kind of training or something?
Even that was better. It's like, and again, he is a kid. He is a kid. So, but imagine when you were a kid trying to do a Schwarzenegger accent. Like that's kind of what this young actor started doing. You know what I mean, dude? So then we cut to the future, or the present, I should say, and Van Damme's going to the Kumite. He's all trained and ready to go. And then there's a guy on this bus in Hong Kong, right? And the guy's drinking a beer and he's harassing this woman sitting in front of him on the bus. And I was like, oh, Van Damme isn't going to stand for that. Like,
bring on the Van Damage.
Yeah, he's going to like, this guy is going to clearly be the adversary, and then Van Damme will put him in his place. And that's how, like, sort of the save the cat moment, right? Nope. This is how we meet his lovable best friend.
who like the level of bonding these people have after knowing each other for, I'm going to say 16 hours.
Yes. That's so, yeah, that's so funny. Actually, I'm halfway, I didn't mention it, but I'm halfway through RRR right now. Have you seen that?
No, I've been hearing good things about it though.
It's the most like bromancy sort of fun in like the best ways, but it's like a heightened like immediate bromance where like all of a sudden they're just like the bestest of friends. It kind of reminded me of that, except this version isn't a heightened universe, so it kind of makes sense. But I will say, I mean, it was kind of like, ooh, like kind of a weird way to introduce that guy. But it's funny because then later, that guy kind of gets beat up, and when the bad guy puts that person's headband on his leg as he's going to fight Van Damme, I was like, you son of a bitch.
I know.
I was like, I totally was like, yeah, get him. You got to stop him. And so yeah, as much as I'm ribbing this movie, then even at the beginning, his training sort of is a little wax on, wax offy stuff, where he's got to serve tea like blindfolded, and then when that comes back at the end, I was like, yes.
Yeah, no, but what's funny about the training sequence that I always find, like you have all the stuff, all the hitting and this and that, and then you have the blind. He's blindfolded and he has to serve tea. Yeah, and it's like very methodical. And then his sensei, like, or whatever, I forget what he calls him, but he swings at him, but Van Damme is blindfolded and he stops it. Like, wow. And then again, smash cut to Van Damme. And he's like tied to this thing, and his limbs are being pulled in.
Right, I forgot about that. Yeah.
And I was like, I love how we need an origin story for him doing the splits.
Wow. I honestly don't even think I realized that was sort of explaining the splits, which he does a lot and is never ceases to be amazing.
For sure.
Yeah. I forgot about it. Yeah. Oh man. Actually, now that I think about it, RRR has a scene with a guy pulling ropes like that in trees too. I'm wondering now if they just remade Bloodsport.
It might be Bloodsport inspired. Yeah.
But yeah, all I have to say again, as much as I'm joking, and then by the end, I really was like getting swept up in it and cheering him on. I was like, sports films, man. Like they're just
they know the formula.
They know the formula. They're magic. Like they just get you. But another element that I thought was really funny is there's these agents, right? Because he sort of escaped like a military posting to go fight in this tournament. And so these agents are after, I can't remember what agency, but they're after him, right?
They're like FBI or something, aren't they? Or I don't know.
CIA? Yeah, it's Forrest Whitaker and I can't remember who the other guy is. But
it's Norman Burton, I believe.
Okay.
Who Norman Burton, you may have just seen him recently. He was in Diamonds Are Forever as Felix Leiter.
Oh, well, I didn't make the connection, but yes. I'm looking at him.
He's also Brian in Planet of the Apes. He is the gorilla hunt leader.
Really?
Yeah. So,
wow.
So if I'm not mistaken, he is the first gorilla who we see in that movie.
Wow, that's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Well, the agents I found to be very amusing characters because they're like doggedly chasing after him, right? Until basically he kind of pulls this sort of move, and then they're like, "Yeah, let's go cheer him on." So they like go inside, and
So,
they're sitting inside, the dojo, wherever it is, and they're just like, "Where's the popcorn guy?"
what's
Watching him.
hilarious to me is the whole thing is like, where's the kumite? We don't like it's spoken of in
Right.
whispers.
Right.
And then we get in there and like half the city is there.
Right.
Just screaming and bending and everything else,
Yeah. What was it? Oh, well, speaking of the agents, yeah, there's a moment where they basically have cornered Van Damme, and then local police are holding out stun guns, to stop him. And in this really funny moment, and it's sort of like really awkwardly edited, they shoot the stun guns, and then there's like this like insert shot that was probably shot like a month later of a guy like holding up like a garage or the top of a garbage can, and then the stun pins basically do this inexplicable 45-degree angle away off the can and hit the local police. And I was like, I'll be darned if that wasn't something straight out of the movies my brother and I made as kids. We're like, well, how's he going to get out of this? So like, he holds up a garbage can, and then the things fly in the opposite direction and stun the police. And but by that time, I was definitely like on the I'm charmed by this movie side. So I was like, yeah, take that.
Yeah, it's so funny because yeah, I mean I will happily joke about the aspects of this movie from now until the rest of the show, but like I have the score, like I listen to the training music like when I'm walking, like
which I 100%
my kids are like, oh, Bloodsport again,
yeah, and it's like I same, like I can laugh at this movie and still say that when it was over, I was pretty pumped up. Like I enjoyed it. And like, I wanted to point out this weird anomaly thing just for the people who have seen this and know exactly what we're talking about. But for the second half of this movie, I got on an exercise bike and was doing it. And I thought I heard a cat meow. And I was like, and I was by a window and I was like, oh, is there a cat outside? Yeah. And then another like 30 seconds, and I hear a cat meow again. I was like, "What the? Does the cat like need help or something?" So I started like looking at the window and whatever, and then I kept hearing it, and I was like, "Is that in the movie?" And it was so noticeable to me, and I don't know if it's because I had headphones on or what it was, but I Googled Bloodsport cat, and then all of a sudden, all these links came up of people being like, "Is there a cat in the soundtrack of Bloodsport?" And like videos of people isolating, or pointing out where and apparently it's an instrument that's being used, and I don't know what the instrument is, but I was so happy to see that I wasn't the only person that thought there was like a cat accidentally got into the scoring session and then was
it just made it on the soundtrack.
Yeah. But I think, the thing that was really funny when this was all said and done was I went on IMDb like I tend to do and looked at all the trivia, and I love it. IMDb is like, because this is supposed to be based on a true story, right, about a real person, and it was like
air quotes, right?
Yeah, and then it says like every fact about Duke's life at the end of the film cannot be verified, are literally impossible, and believed to be fabrications.
It's so funny.
It's the perfect way to end the movie. You're like, all right.
Yeah, there's it has the freeze frame and the text, and it's like, yeah, Frank Dukes is the only whatever American to fight in this made up tournament that he pulled out of his ass. And
actually, it's so funny. Yeah, he can be like, no one knows where it is. Trust me, you have never heard of this. And
it from descriptions, he sounds like Nick Nolte in Tropic Thunder, where he's like,
sorry, I was picturing Nicolas Cage. Yes, totally.
Right.
Yes, exactly that character. Yeah,
it's funny because Bloodsport came out right around it was Bloodsport first, and then Kickboxer was not too long after. And Kickboxer, I watched it like right after Bloodsport, and I'm like, oh, wait, this is the same movie,
Wow, it's so weird.
And so you realize, like, I realized pretty quick, oh, I think he peaked,
right?
Like with that one, and I was like 10, I think, when I saw Bloodsport.
Right.
I was like, I think he's got one gear, and that was it, And so Van Damme was able to sort of trudge through the remainder of the 90s. But I don't think it's a huge surprise that nothing really lasted past that, because I don't think he's got I don't think he's got the skill as an actor. Although, to be fair, he was on he had a show on Amazon, which is actually pretty good. Jean-Claude Van Johnson.
Oh, I kind of remember that. And then the film that was recommended to me, JCVD, yeah, which was sort of, is that like a mockumentary kind of thing?
Yes.
Yes. Right. Is the Johnson thing the same idea?
It's essentially like, you can think of JCVD as almost like the pilot.
I see. Okay.
So that's like, I mean, him sort of clowning on his own image, which I get. I mean, the alternative is being Steven Seagal, who just, you're in love with the smell of your own farts. Steven Seagal was like Vin Diesel before Vin Diesel.
Right.
It's so funny. I saw a thing recently where this was somebody who told a story. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mark Harmon has told a story about how he bumped into Seagal shortly before, like, his first movie came out, whatever his first movie was, Out for Death, or they all sound the same, whatever. There. So Mark Harmon, this is what it was. The director of the Seagal movie wanted to work with Harmon, so he says, "Oh, here's the thing I made, and it's starring Steven Seagal. Movie's not out yet." And so Harmon watches this thing, and he happens to bump into Seagal. He says, "Hey, I saw that movie. And, I think it's really good, and he says something to the effect of, however, I wouldn't recommend letting them film you running, because you have an awkward run." Or he said something to that effect. Okay. And how, like, Seagal just like stared a hole into his soul. Like, he was
right.
about that. But what's hilarious to me is, you can go online and just go to YouTube, Steven Seagal running. He has the goofiest ass run I have ever seen a human being use in my an ostensibly serious human being, as opposed to somebody doing a bit.
Interesting. Do you
like
think
his arms are like flailing? You said you've been watching Friends, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you seen the one where Phoebe is running and her arms are like flailing?
Yes.
That's Steven Seagal.
By the way, I just Googled Steven Seagal, and running was like one of the second.
There you go. I'm not making it up.
Oh, I see it. Yes.
Who the hell runs like that? Who runs like that?
It looks like someone imitating running. You know what I mean? Like, the arms are supposed to move, but the arms are supposed to move to help with your thrust. You're propelling yourself, right? And he's just kind of wagging them. That's so interesting. But you know what? See, with him, I wonder if you really got him to answer the question. I wonder if he would say, like, "Oh, you run like, a certain way, but I've transcended running." You know what I mean? Like, I have learned the art of running. Yeah.
He's like, my Zen master taught me that's the way to, and
exactly. That's sort of what I feel like he would probably say.
I mean, it is funny to see, like, the chain of succession, to go from your Schwarzenegger to your Van Damme to Seagal, who his entire career is absolutely inexplicable to me.
You know what's funny, by the way, as long as we're talking about it, I watched Under Siege. So I worked for New Regency, production company, and they give you when you work there for a year, they give you a duffel bag of every movie they ever made on DVD. Well, it was DVD, and I had never seen Under Siege, and
which is good.
I got rid of a bunch of the DVD. You sell them over time and whatnot, and you don't have DVDs anymore. But I hung on to that one because I was like, I'm going to watch this. So one day I finally watched it, and I did think it was good. I mean, I didn't think it was like, like True Lies or something. Like, it, it's kind of a little. It's having fun and knows it's having fun.
I would offer, Brian, that it is good despite Steven Seagal rather than.
Maybe that's what it is too, like sort of what he's doing. And it's fun to see Tommy Lee Jones going nuts. But there's a story about Harrison Ford deciding whether or not to do The Fugitive, but then he watched Under Siege and was like, I will work with you. And I've always found that kind of intriguing.
Because Andrew Davis, who directed Under Siege, did The Fugitive.
Yeah, same director. Sorry, I'm skipping through the story, but, like, you know what I mean? And I was like, that's fascinating. That, like, I don't know. Like I was like I enjoyed it, but I don't know that I would be like, yeah, he would make another great Steven Seagal movie or something. But Ford saw something in him,
I
and he
think
was right, by the way. So
I think to whatever extent you can draw a performance out of Steven Seagal, Andrew Davis got the the trailing edge of whatever that is.
yeah.
Because he's a chunk of wood and he has the charisma of a soap dish, an empty soap dish,
Right.
which they have no charisma. I don't know if that's a metaphor, but I'd like to make it one.
I think it should be now an empty
He's
soap
got the
dish.
charisma of an empty soap dish, Brian.
Right.
I'm going to make that happen.
I think
But-
it needs the addition at the end. Like he has the all the charisma of a soap dish, an empty soap dish. Like I like that at the end of it.
But I guess anyway, the point is, Bloodsport is not the Magnificent Ambersons,
Yes.
but compared to Steven Seagal, Van Damme is Orson Welles. I guess that's what we've established in this discussion.
I think also too for me it is now I almost, if I was going to get a PhD I would write about this, where it's like it doesn't matter how goofy like the first half of any sports film is, sports films always win. Like they will always get you. Like they will, they'll always have you be pulling you along, and by the end they will make you cheer. It just doesn't matter. The formula is sound.
I think you're absolutely right. Yeah. By the time you have the flying V at the end,
Yep.
you're like, bring it.
Yeah. Speaking of, real quick, I do want to mention this. This is I saw Hustle on Netflix, which is an Adam Sandler movie, kind of one, his more, I don't want to call it serious because it's not like Uncut Gems or something, but it's not necessarily a comedy. And I just wanted to mention it because I had heard it was good. And one night I was like, like 10 o'clock, kind of, let's pop it on, see. Because I hate saying this, but streaming movies, I don't expect a lot. I expect I'll be entertained, but I'll forget it later. But this, I thought, really rose above a lot of the movies that you tend to see on streamers, on Netflix in particular. And I really ended up liking this one.
Nice.
Yeah, so I definitely recommend this. This is, again, great sports film. Sandler's really good in it. When he does drama, man, he does it well. And there's like fun relationships in it. He has a really nice relationship with his wife in the movie. It was kind of refreshing and something you don't see a lot. And I would say like in the middle, it gets a bit montage heavy, but darn it, if you don't get, like, I was even thinking in the middle of it, like, wow, this montage has been going on for like 10 minutes or something. But then by the end of it, as the music, starts crescendoing and the person starts achieving what you're hoping they will, your blood gets pumping. You just can't help it. Right. And so, I think, people looking for a good sports movie, watch a movie and it puts you in a good mood. And also I love that it didn't feel polished. It felt kind of scrappy, the movie itself, even though the bones are pretty familiar. It has kind of a more scrappy, dramatic kind of look to it that I thought suited it well. So, yeah, I definitely recommend Hustle on Netflix.
I've heard several people say good things about it, so this is very much in my queue, but I am sort of fascinated by when you look at the cast,
Mm-hmm.
you're like Adam Sandler, Queen Latifah, Robert Duvall,
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Edwards, Jaleel White in a LeBron James production. You're like, what in the world?
I know it sounds like a Usual Suspects, like someone just looking at a newspaper or something and just saying all the names. Where is Jaleel White? LeBron James, wins another championship. Robert Duvall, Godfather anniversary. Yeah, like.
Yeah, Serious Sandler is an interesting creation because it feels like the mass audience is not in the mood for Serious Sandler.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which is why he says F you mass audience and he makes, the Ridiculous Six or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, Grown Ups 5,
Mm-hmm.
And yet clearly this is where his heart is.
Yeah, he's a genuinely good actor, and so, but like you said, I mean, I think his serious roles tend to be in that sort of more indie space, right? Like Punch Drunk Love, which isn't for everybody, and Uncut Gems, which isn't for everybody. But this was one I told my parents and my brother. I was like, hey, check this out. I think you guys will like it.
Well, I will check it out too, Brian.
Yeah. I'd be curious what you think.
Just as our listeners can guilt Brian into watching stuff, Brian can guilt me into watching stuff. So.
All right.
I do love that this is kind of a new thing on the show now, where people just guilt Brian, and he gets peer pressured into watching stuff.
It's true. You know what's funny though? I genuinely do write these things down, and with every intention of getting to them. I don't know. I got to give Carlos props for checking in and nudging me. But yeah.
Well, speaking of 80s throwbacks, I saw, we kind of discussed this off and on the last couple of weeks. I saw Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins.
I am so curious to hear you talk about this, because I'll just really quickly, because I want to hear you talk mostly about this, but I didn't even know this movie existed. I had worked for a woman, and she couldn't believe I'd never seen it. Excuse me. And she said when she was growing up, it was on HBO all the time. And so she's like, you got to watch it tonight. And so I did. And it's a wacky movie. So I came in the next day like, did I like it? Yeah. Like, is it weird? Very. And yeah. So it was sort of this completely unknown thing to me that I just dove into. What's your experience with it? I mean, did you see it when you were younger, or?
So I saw it for the first time in the late 90s. So I was younger than I am now, but I was older than like probably the age you needed to be for it to really like imprint on you. You know what I mean?
Right.
But when I was a kid, my family, we visited Edmonton in summer of '87, and my cousins were like, Remo Williams. Oh, you haven't seen Remo Williams? They were doing a lot of that.
You didn't know The Adventure Began?
Yeah, right. Like, where have you been for the last 2 years? You know?
Yeah.
And I remember going to the this is in Edmonton, and to rent movies, they had like movie rental kiosks like in the convenience stores, like it's like White Hen Pantry or whatever the equivalent of that was.
Right, White Hen.
And so I remember seeing the VHS case, and it's him like on the Statue of Liberty. It's like this painting, and that memory I have from when I was a kid, but I didn't see it until the 90s, and I thoroughly enjoyed it when I saw it in the 90s. But I also left like that's the last time I saw it. You know,
right.
When Fred Ward passed away, and I was like, man, I want to revisit Remo Williams. And I was home with my 13-year-old and my 11-year-old, and I was like, seems like they're the age, right? And so we put it on, and I will say it is a lot of fun, but it is also a lot of dumb, and and I think your tolerance for a movie like this is going to be how much of a threshold for fun / dumb you have,
Right.
It's also incredibly racist. There's also that.
Shockingly.
Right. Like, right. So the context here is the film. We start out with this police officer who is played by Fred Ward with like a prosthetic nose. And
really?
Yeah. And it's like pretty obvious,
I don't remember.
Yeah, and his death is faked, and this organization retrieves him and gives him a new identity. He's now, I forget what his real name was, but now he's Remo Williams, and he's named after the printing on a bedpan.
Oh.
And he's going to be like an agent, and he's going to be trained and all this stuff. And so they assign him. Oh, and his boss is what's his name? Wilford Brimley. Whose entire role involves him sitting behind a desk in this office. Like, I don't think he gets up once in the entire movie.
That was probably in his contract.
Yeah, I was like, man, that's probably kind of a cushy gig. They probably shot him in 3 days.
Right.
Sitting behind that desk. And he's like in his 40s in that movie, by the way, Wilford Brimley, which is...
He's one of those guys, we've talked about this, where he looked perpetually 60 his entire life.
Yeah, I think once puberty hit, he was like AARP guy. I think that's where he stayed.
Right.
Anyway, so Remo Williams, played by Fred Ward, is now without prosthetic nose. It's like a Michael Knight thing, like a Knight Rider, I think.
Okay.
I don't know if are you familiar with Knight Rider?
Oh yeah. Kit.
Yeah, he had the whole thing is that he's Michael Knight, but his real name is Michael Long, and he got a facelift to look like David Hasselhoff.
Oh, that's funny.
So I think they did that.
It
Anyway,
was a thing
so
at the time.
it was a trope.
Yeah.
And so he is assigned this Asian martial arts guy to train him. Now, you would think, Brian, in 1985, you say, okay, well, the script calls for, let's see, we got this character Chun,
Yep.
who teaches our guy the ways of the Orient. Let's maybe open up the old Rolodex. Let's, a lot of Asian actors guest starred on MASH. Maybe we can get one of them. There's Mako. I think he's still around. We can get him.
Pat Morita, for goodness sake, just nominated for an
Morita
Oscar
had
the year
just done
before.
Karate Kid. So there's a few. My understanding is in the 1980s, there were entire countries full of Asian people. That's my belief.
I think that checks out. I just Googled it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but instead they said, "Hey, let's get Joel Grey from the movie. I think it was in New York,
Mm.
and let's just give him like slanty Asian eyes, and have him speak in a really horrible, stereotypical Asian accent, and
Yes.
let's just entirely roll with it."
Right.
And so I'm watching this movie with my mouth just hanging open
Right.
because I think at the time I saw it, I didn't even realize it was a white guy.
It's funny because I would say,
And he was in Cabaret, by the way. He was in Cabaret, not New York. Sorry.
he looks,
You wanna
and it's
know?
Jennifer Grey's father.
Yeah, which makes him, at least for a time, Clark Gregg's father-in-law.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
No, he just looks half human. Like, you know,
Yes.
there's something going on, but you're not quite sure what it is. That's my memory of it.
No, you're absolutely right, because they did like a prosthetic effect to slant his eyes.
Yeah, it's just,
Which is so much worse than just not doing that and saying he's Asian, which would still be bad.
which is funny, by the way, because not that this was ever okay, but like, you think of like Breakfast at Tiffany's, which is like always at the top of those lists of what were they thinking kind of things, right? Mickey Rooney playing an Asian character.
Yes.
And this was like years after that.
This is 1985.
Yeah.
Like we just gave two examples off the top of our head. There's Mako and there's Pat Morita. I'm not saying get either of those two guys.
Right.
I'm saying there's more of them.
There's a lot of other options. Yes.
Yes. So weird. So I honestly had a hard time getting past that.
I wonder if that's why I wasn't familiar with it. I can't say I see it on TV ever.
Yeah. That's a great point.
That must be why. Yeah.
And then Kate Mulgrew is in there as a love interest,
Mhm.
and again, it's this double whammy of like anti-Asian racism, but like good-natured, and then sexism, but good-natured, and you're like, man, I mean, just like what a time, like
Right.
Oh, and at the end of the film, it's hilarious because Remo Williams and Kate Mulgrew, they're trying to like escape like the guys that are chasing after them, and they're on the boat, and the Joel Grey character, he runs across the water and gets on the boat.
This is coming. I've only seen it the one time. Yeah.
And I'm again between Karate Kid and this, I'm like, did people think that Asians had like superpowers,
Like magic? Yes.
right? Miyagi's magic healing hugger mugger, and then there's this.
Right.
So it's real weird. Like I enjoyed revisiting it. It is funny because this is Michael Bailey on Twitter. When I posted it, I was watching. He's like, Remo Williams, the adventure begins 45 minutes into the movie, because it's just, like nothing really happens. The arguably the action set piece is the Statue of Liberty scene,
Right.
and that's just kind of like a training exercise.
I remember little chunks of this movie. I remember him bouncing on logs in an apartment or something.
That's right. Yeah.
Like that.
And
kind of
he's
stuff.
great. That's really like it is worth watching just to see Fred Ward.
And I got to admit, as awful as it is that Joel Grey is playing that character, they are fun together.
Yes.
Right? Their banter and their interaction, and
he's got this whole thing where he just loves watching soap operas, and Remo like, you and your soap operas. I'm like, that's funny.
Yeah.
So my point is this: I think you do have to if you're going to revisit it, you have to sort of be like, well, they did this, and this, which let's stipulate we're not okay with, and,
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
then we move
Yes.
on.
Right.
But my kids enjoyed it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and now they're doing the thing where they're pulling their eyes back. I'm like, no, don't do that.
No.
I'm just that too. That was a thing that kids did in the 80s.
Oh,
You remember that?
100%. 100%. Yeah.
Man,
Yeah, we
like,
said awful rhymes and things that I
I was
had
just
no
thinking,
idea.
like, in kids growing up in the 80s, and I'll go ahead and say into the 90s, there was racism, sexism, and homophobia just like running rampant.
Oh, absolutely. But
Right?
it's funny because some of it I didn't even know till I was older. I was like, oh, that's what we were saying.
Yeah.
Certain like games we would play that had kind of offensive names. I was like, I didn't even know what that meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different times.
Very different times. Yeah. Which is crazy because it wasn't terribly long ago, really.
It really wasn't. Yeah.
Um,
Not better.
but if we could change, everybody can change.
Oh yeah, Rocky was kind of offensive towards Russians too, I guess, right? That's kind of.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's take a short break and ponder the progress that we've hopefully made. And we are back. And hey, before we talk about some of the new releases, we got some listener letters here that I wanted to bounce off you, Brian.
Great.
So first up, this is from Philip Barker, who emailed us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. This is in response to our Jurassic World Dominion discussion in our previous, in our last regular show.
Yeah.
And he says, hey, Zaki and Brian, first of all, you guys have been on a roll for 2022. Exquisite commentaries and episodes make my weeks at work all the more joyful.
Dude, thanks, Philip.
Yeah, listening to you two on every week is something I avidly look forward to. And so after listening to your latest review episode of Jurassic World Dominion, I pose a question to both of you. What would you like to see from both Star Wars and Jurassic films going forward? Given that the Skywalker saga is now finished and Dominion has put a cap on the current iteration, what kind of elements in filmmaking/storytelling do you think would make an impact on current moviegoers that A New Hope and the original Jurassic Park had when they were initially released? Keep up the fantastic work.
That's a very good question. It's so funny because I had a thought in my head already, but then when he mentioned A New Hope and Jurassic Park, and it's like those were pivots, those moments. That was, we had this and now this exists and everything's different. And it's like, ooh, that's challenging. I mean, in a world that's, both of those worlds have been extensively explored at this point, right? I was going to say, I don't have an immediate answer for Star Wars, but I will say that the trailer for Andor, I really find intriguing because I think I've said this very thing, but like, the original trilogy was my introduction to it. That's the thing that imprinted on my heart. And so I've loved pretty much every Star Wars thing I've seen. But whenever I see the stormtroopers from the original trilogy, like those designs, like that's the stuff that just makes my heart beat a little faster. And so the boots on the ground look at the rebellion, because in the first films, we're sort of following Luke in this discovery of who he is and his lineage. And that's, obviously that's magic to me, but like, I'm curious to see like a really good story filled with really great characters that I care about in another portion of this time period I'm interested in. So I'm excited. I have, a lot of excitement for that one. But that already exists. I don't know. Zaki, do you have thoughts? I will say too, sorry, what am I doing? That's so rude. You go first. Zaki, how about you? Actually, I have another idea, so I'm going to start speaking.
I've like opened my mouth and closed my mouth like 5 times, and I'm like, no, I'm just joking. Well, with regards to Star Wars, I mean, this is something that we've discussed offhand, where it genuinely, like, what do you do next for the movies?
Yep.
Not in a judgmental, like, well, now what? You guys are, you boxed yourselves in, but just genuinely, where do you go, right?
Right.
And so as far this is me, I'm not speaking for Brian, but I feel like, and I would apply this honestly to both Star Wars and Jurassic. I think as far as movies, the best thing you can do right now is just let it sit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like I said, I'm looking forward to the Andor show and stuff, and I think you have that opportunity to continue to satiate people's appetites for Star Wars. But I think with the movies, I would say, yeah, like wait till you got the thing you want to do.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think I've said all along, when episode 9 was coming out and the marketing said, okay, this is the end of the Skywalker saga, that phrasing was very particular because it allowed the ability to say that's what 1 through 9 have been, but it doesn't foreclose the possibility of episode 10 and onward. It would just be a different saga within the Star Wars universe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I still feel that. I feel like there will be a episode, whatever episode. Well, it would be episode X, in fact.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Were the next one to happen. I do think it's going to happen, but I think the smartest thing would be to let it sit. There were 10 years between episode 3 and the sequel trilogy. That anticipation built up,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For that matter, Jurassic World, there's 14 years between Jurassic Park 3 and Jurassic World, the first one. And I think that's a big reason why that movie did as well as it did.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And to that point, I mean, look at the performance of Jurassic World Dominion, right? It flies in the face of all the sort of harumphing that I saw online from the critics, who were like, oh, this is the worst thing I've ever seen, whatever. And, we had our discussion and you were more critical of it than I was. But I think, and this is not like me being like, I'm right, but my takeaway, which was like, look, I just wanted like dinosaurs and I wanted to see my friends again. And that was my low bar. I feel like families have made that decision with the Jurassic movies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I also feel like this trilogy reaches enough of an endpoint where to force a sequel right away, you'd start probably seeing more of those diminished returns that you're not really seeing yet.
Totally.
Right?
If you give it like 10 years,
yeah,
which I know like the people on the Universal board are like, what? That's outrageous. But I mean, yeah, like whet the appetite a little bit. And then no matter what it is, if even the people who weren't crazy about the sequels will show up.
Yeah, I think using, Star Wars is the obvious generational example, but I think Jurassic is just as applicable. By the time Jurassic World came out, you had the kids of the original ones going with their kids, right? And so I think both Star Wars and Jurassic Park have that same appeal. It's a multi-generational. The other thought I had is, if Peacock were to do a Jurassic Park series, set it in 1992 when the original park was first being set up, I'd be interested in that.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen the Camp Cretaceous? Is that what it's called on Netflix, the animated series?
I've not seen all of it, but what I have seen, I've enjoyed. Yeah,
me too. Actually, I had it recommended to me, so I checked it out, and I think just kind of pivoting to another angle, you're like, oh, you open yourself up for so much,
Yeah,
I could see. Well, actually, and then I think it was announced, going back to the Star Wars of it all, the who's the filmmaker who did Spider-Man? I mix him up with the second guy. John Watts, where he's going to do basically like a Goonies in the Star Wars universe. I mean, that's a very by general shorthand, but that I'm like, sign me up. Like,
I read that headline. I was like, I picture Brian leaning forward in his seat.
Oh, like, right. We always say kids on bikes, like kids on speeders, like, let's do this. So, I mean, that's the thing, I think. And also, the thing I was going to say earlier too was, like the High Republic, or like going to like a different era where we still get the lightsabers and we get the things that we like and we get the heroes and villains and stuff. They've already started doing that in their books. But I think it would be kind of cool to just jump to a whole different time where we offer a lot of different, opportunities, but still really dig into, the Joseph Campbellianness of it all and, tell like a good heroic story. I think, and with great new characters that we're really, really are conflicted, but rooting for and want to save the day. That's always going to work, So I think it's,
here's my thought, and what we're seeing now with Star Wars is what I said would happen back when the sale first happened, which is 10 years ago. I said Star Wars is going to become Star Trek. And I said at the time, you're either okay with it or you're not, but that's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And what I meant by that then, and it's applicable now, is, Star Trek for a while, for the first 20 years, was these characters.
Yes,
It is,
right.
It is Captain Kirk, Mr. Spock, Dr. McCoy. They're on the Enterprise. They do stuff. That is Star Trek, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Paramount cracked the egg a little bit, and they said, no, actually, Star Trek is also this Enterprise this many years later, and it's Captain Picard and this, that, and the other thing. And then they went a little bit, then they scrambled the egg a little and said, actually, Star Trek is also not just the Enterprise, it's this space station over here and these characters, and it's also this ship. And suddenly now you've got however many shows, right?
Right.
And you're either on board or you're not. And I am a fan of Star Trek, yet I have not seen all of Star Trek because I'm able to say, well, this is the Star Trek that I prefer. That one is okay. That one I haven't seen. You can pick and choose. You pick your ice cream, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where Star Wars is at now.
Yeah.
Where there is enough content out there where, like what you said earlier, right? For you, it's the original trilogy, and that's always going to make you feel a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, obviously, there's plenty of us out there, but there's also plenty of prequel kids. There's also there's guess what? There's going to be sequel kids. It's going to happen,
right?
And so it's all my approach to all of this is, well, it's a big pool. Let everybody come in.
Totally.
And you don't have to go into the deep end if you don't want to. There's room in the pool over there for you,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's the great thing. And so that's why I like when I see sort of the endless bitching because this detail doesn't line up with that thing over there. And we talked about this last time. I'm like, look, you can finesse explanations for stuff, or you can just let it go.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't stay mad about this stuff.
I know it's like the great lesson that I think fans, mature into. It'd be nice. I mean, I'm certainly guilty of it a lot when I was younger and stuff. But you just hope people find that place and then find that life's much more enjoyable.
As we record this, the final episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi dropped,
and
you have not seen it yet.
I have not. No,
Well,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just I have a leaving for a trip tomorrow and just have been trying to knock everything out. So I regrettably have not been able to see it yet.
Well, and that too, right? See, that to me is a reflection of how Star Wars has become, where it's like, I'll get to it as soon as I can.
Yeah, sure.
But it might not be right away, right? And that's not necessarily a judgment on the content, but it is like shifting priorities, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Whereas, like, how many Star Wars movies did you watch opening night
at midnight?
Yeah, right.
Yep.
And so it's just a different energy. Now I've seen the final episode. I actually stayed up. I didn't stay up. I woke up at 3 a.m.
It drops at 3 a.m.
No, it dropped at midnight, but I couldn't stay up till midnight.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So I ended up like waking up. See, I think I've said this before. I have this weird habit where I wake up at 3 and I do the Wordle and then I go back to sleep.
Oh yeah, we talked about this. Yeah.
It's very strange. So I had my Wordle wake up. I was like, oh, I should watch it because I wrote a thing about it for the paper,
Mm-hmm.
And I
Obi-Wan, not Wordle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Obi-Wan doing the Wordle, which is going to be season 2.
Right.
They've gotten the big adventure out of the way. But anyway, so I watched this thing and I'm like, man, this is so crazy. We got Ewan McGregor back. We got Hayden Christensen back. We got all this stuff. It's like for the prequel fans, it's it's what The Force Awakens was for us, right? Here's Hayden and Ewan McGregor as Anakin and Obi-Wan back together. It's amazing.
And even as I've grown to really appreciate those films, but it was a journey definitely for me. But like, I have to just add that when I did see them together, I gasped.
Yeah,
like
right?
it just, it's incredible.
And so without spoiling anything, I mean, we go on this journey, and the critique is, oh, it doesn't fit with what we knew about blah blah blah. Oh, I in A New Hope, you get the sense that Leia has never met Obi-Wan Kenobi, and things like that. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I see room to finesse that. Her saying "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi" to me allows for the possibility that they do have some kind of history.
I got giddy making that connection.
Right.
Thinking about, like, there's only one man who can help us now, and it's like,
Yeah,
this was the
exactly.
moment she met that man.
Yeah. Things like that, like, and I've said this before, but in Revenge of the Sith, when Obi-Wan and Anakin part, he says, "You were my brother, Anakin. I loved you." And then in A New Hope, he says, "Only a master of evil, Darth."
Right.
And this is one thing I'll say. I wanted Obi-Wan to call Anakin Darth in this. And
to acknowledge that he's no longer Anakin to him.
Correct.
Right.
That was like one thing that I wanted.
And
I got it.
Nice. Yeah.
Right. And I don't think that's a spoiler, but my point is this: there was room for story in between.
Right.
There was room for now. Granted, I don't think we can have an unlimited, a series of Rocky sequels between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope where they keep bumping each other.
Sure.
You got this again. Show, and this, I think you got this, and that's.
And then they're roommates for like a spell, and then
that's right. I think you had room, you got it. I think that's it.
Yeah.
But my point is this: I'd rather try to find ways of making it all fit together. And you can be like, oh well, it just makes everything coincidental, and it makes the universe small. And I'm like, did you watch the prequel movies? Did you watch the original movies?
Right.
Because that's all Lucas was doing, right?
Right.
And if you start complaining about retcons, then you say, well, when Obi-Wan says, Darth Vader betrayed and murdered your father, that wasn't like alluding to anything other than what actually happened.
Right.
So it's been retcons from the jump,
Right.
So what you realize is people are attached to their retcons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so this is something that kind of has it. I don't find it infuriating, but I find it, it's something that is illuminating about people's fandoms, right? It's people don't want their expertise challenged.
Yeah, it just gets, it's so many things too. Like, I mean, as more things exist, there's less opportunity for everything to directly connect with you even. Like, because I have to admit, I have some like holes with like Clone Wars stuff, like the show and things like that. And it's like, I'd probably love it, but I've not seen it, like it's one of those things on the list kind of a thing, and maybe it wouldn't connect with me as strongly as this, the prequels did, or this, what I mean? Like, it just, when there's that much, sort of like what you're saying with Star Trek, like not everything is going to be that direct specific thing that like makes like a lifelong halo to use Avatar. You know what I mean?
I just love that. I don't know that anyone in the 12 years since Avatar came out has used that reference.
My brother and I don't know when the last time we saw it was, but we always joke about Halus and Jake Sully. I don't know why that is. It's just one of those things that kind of slipped into the way we speak. I don't know what it is, but truly, like, even no Star Wars movie is going to affect me the same way A New Hope did when I was in first grade. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's like you just can't expect everything that comes from something to feel the same way as everything else. And I think that's really important to realize.
It is. And you know, to that end, I think people just need to accept that, you know, that like you are falling victim to your own expectations.
Yes.
And maybe that's the flaw here. You know, going back to what we were saying about Hayden Christensen as Anakin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like now, granted, he was given a difficult job because Lucas didn't give him a ton to work with. But how much of the criticism of him was criticism of his version of Anakin not being the Anakin that people had built up in their minds during that gap between trilogies, right?
Right.
And yet, when you take it at face value, I mean, again, I say this all the time, like kids who watch these things as is, they're not like, oh, he sucks as Anakin. They're just like, he's Anakin.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's it, you know?
Right.
The fault lies, Brian, not in our Star Wars, but in ourselves.
Yeah. There's freedom in stepping back and having the realizations that I think we just spoke about, because then there's still not everything is going to be for you, but like you'll go easier on things, you know, you'll find joy in things that you were just preventing yourself from finding joy in, and some things just won't be for you, and that's okay.
Yeah. And the, you know, we've talked before about sort of the value of letting a story end, right?
Yeah.
Or some, you know, I mean, certainly when they keep going with sequels again and again, there is sort of like, oh, well, you know, they reached a good ending. Like, why go past that, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I would offer that, you know, maybe sometimes it's okay to just let the story end in your own mind. Like, there's nothing forcing you to keep going with it.
That's true. That's true.
You can get off the ride, you know. I mean, I do this a lot with comic books. You know, I mean, comic books are a great example, right? The story just keeps going.
Mm-hmm.
And I have all my bound runs, and I literally, I have to find an off ramp. I have to find a point where I can be like, okay, this is where I stop.
Right.
Otherwise, there's nowhere, you know, you're just going to keep going. And that's very freeing, because you say, well, I've got it up to here. I don't need to know what happens after that.
You know what's interesting, though? I think we're in a moment where that has not been what movies are until now. Like, you know, like weren't we just talking? Oh, with Batman Returns, we were saying it almost feels like you would think in 92, then no matter what Returns was, you would let Burton do a third one and wrap it up. Like that's how we think now.
Yeah.
But like back then it was just like, hey, they're doing another Batman. You know?
Yeah. Just keep going.
But now we have just the, you know, vast amount of stories in the Marvel universe cinematically, not just comic books and TV, you know, and Star Wars is now becoming vast, and Star Trek has been vast. And, you know, I think we rewire our brains a little bit, you know, but this is sort of new. The idea that we could build an off ramp for a film series, which what other movies besides Rocky? I mean, which was sort of a punchline in the 80s. They had so many of them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just not that common. But I wonder if we'll start to see that.
I mean, I think like using Rocky, that's a good example, right? Like we've essentially sunsetted that character without having killed him off. And I hope they don't kill him off. I'd rather not see that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But that there's an ending there, you know?
Right.
He has his ending. Like if the last thing we ever see of Rocky Balboa is him with his son at the end of the second one, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Sure.
And yet the universe continues.
Right.
And we're following the Creed story. You know, I'm seeing a lot with the commentary about Marvel, right? Marvel stuff right now. It's interesting because Marvel right now is in it's like an SNL rebuilding season right now.
Yeah.
Right, like Endgame is like when Jason Sudeikis, Kristen Wiig, and Andy Samberg left.
Yes.
It's like, well, we got to keep going, but we got to figure out what we're doing next.
Yeah, and there's some things that are working, some things aren't landing, but yeah.
Right, but we know, like, it's again, SNL goes on.
Mm-hmm.
But certain cast members, you know, their journey with the show ends, and so what I'm seeing a lot of is people being like, I think Endgame was like my endpoint. Like that's what they're saying. Like I'm jumping
Mhm.
off with Endgame, and I was like, that's great. You have
Yeah.
the ability to do that.
Yeah.
And then if something later on strikes your fancy, you can. But you're not committed now to every single thing. Like being honest, I have yet to watch Moon Knight.
Same.
And it's not for lack of desire, but it is lack of time. And I'm like, I'll get to it when I get to it.
Lack of time and knowing it will be there.
It'll be there, right?
Yeah.
And so I think my point is there's value in all of this stuff. I mean, one last point about Star Trek. I remember being a kid when they killed off Captain Kirk in 1994. And I was really upset about that. It's like, how can you kill off Captain Kirk, And 30 years past that, or almost 30 years past that, I look at it and I'm kind of like, I mean, was his death done particularly well? Not necessarily. But I'm like, it is kind of cool that, like, you can watch his story and be able to get the full arc of his, like, there's a beginning, middle, and end.
Mm-hmm.
Spock, like they killed off the Leonard Nimoy Spock after Nimoy himself died, so you have his ending, and now with the Strange New Worlds TV series, which is a prequel to the original show, you're getting his beginning. So conceivably you can get this character's entire life.
Right.
And there's something cool about that,
Yeah. Yeah. There's that run, so to speak.
There's and that's, and maybe that is just a reflection of as we get older, we start seeing the value of the ending more.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're not given an explicit ending, then make your own ending.
Right.
And that's okay too.
I'm still running through my head the fact that we can compare the Marvel Cinematic Universe to the ebbs and flows and longevity of SNL. It's run long enough that it can have that sort of growing pains, rebirth, whatever.
Because I don't know if you remember that Sudeikis, Kristen Wiig, and Sandberg, they left the same year, same episode.
Right. I do, yeah.
And talk about, like, oh my God.
Yeah, power hitters.
Yeah, and this year too, like A.D. Bryant left, Kate McKinnon. They have to some big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, you said you saw Lightyear, right?
Yes.
And what is that but an attempt to keep the Toy Story magic going, while also acknowledging that those films have ended.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah.
Right, and now it hasn't done particularly well, but I mean, maybe you can speak to. I mean, what did you think of it? Did you find it effective? Yeah.
Actually, that's such a funny thing to compare it to, because that's so true. Like, they're trying to find new and creative ways to keep the Toy Story magic going, right?
Yes.
And
even though the last movie certainly feels like a good place to not come back to.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting that they did paint themselves into that corner, right? When that's clearly, I think it's safe to say, probably their most beloved characters.
Mm-hmm.
And they always, people always turn out for them. But it's been interesting then to see them take this swing with Lightyear. And
we should say, I mean, they took a swing, but it's looking like a swing and a miss.
Yeah, or when I say swing, it's like, okay, instead of giving the toy Buzz Lightyear a story, right? Like maybe he gets lost, or something in that universe, and those other characters, Rex and all those people, are involved. They're just like, no, like, let's do something wildly different, but it is tangentially related to Buzz Lightyear. And I was like, okay, that was kind of my attitude for it. But it has been kind of interesting to see so many people get tangled in it a little bit and tripped up by it. And I'm certain they were anticipating people having to hold people's hands through it. But I wonder if they were also like, wow, I did not expect so many people to get confused by this concept,
well, they had to put a card at the beginning, right? Andy watched a movie in 1995, and this is the movie that he's, right? Isn't it?
Literally, I think that is super clear. I don't know. Like, I think beforehand, I can't remember if I was listening to websites try to explain it, or if Pixar explained it and I was reading a quote, or if I was trying to make sense of it in my head. Because I thought, yeah, it was like a real person, like the real person Buzz.
Well,
and,
that's what Chris Evans, when he first got the gig,
Mm.
that's what he said. He said that it's about the real guy who inspired the toy.
Well, and it's funny because I read an interview with Taika Waititi where he was saying, I had a lot of fun working on that. I didn't know what I was saying, but they put pages in front of me and I said it and it was fun, you know?
And then they handed me a bag of money on my way out the door. I was good.
Right. So you got to imagine, yeah, there must have been just multiple versions of what this was. But yes, what they landed on, and there's a card at the beginning. And to me, I thought it was very clear. There was a movie that came out in 1995. Andy saw it and bought the toy from this movie, which was Buzz Lightyear. And real quick, I mean, to me, this gets to exactly the kind of pick-a-you nonsense that people get themselves in a lather over. Yes, I agree. I was kind of like, come on, people. It's really not that complicated.
And I feel like, honestly, this might be more adults than kids, because kids can be like, oh, well, there's like 3 Spider-Mans and there's however many.
Yeah.
Oh, it's another Buzz Lightyear. Instead, no, we got to do this because the toy collector character in Toy Story 2 is angrily tweeting about how this fits into canon, you know?
Yeah. But I'll go back to calling it a swing, because it is a swing. I mean, it's not the character you know. It's not related at all to what you know. So it's like, will you care about this alternate take on that character? That's a swing. And I think I can understand if people walked out of it and didn't love it because it's not tonally what they're used to associating with that character. I think that's a completely valid. That's just how people felt. I will say I did enjoy it, but it also, when we walked out of it, I think I was feeling it was kind of inconsequential, but absolute fun. You know, like it's not, it's just a romp, you know, it's just a space romp. And I don't think it's breaking new ground. I mean, when Wall-E, you think of when they kept coming out with like Finding Nemo, and then it was like, wow, I don't know if I've really seen a movie like this before. And when Wall-E, you're like, this thing, you know, there's no dialogue in this movie till like an hour in, you know, like they're really breaking new ground. And I don't think this is breaking any new ground, but it's really well done. I mean, the action's really good. It's cute. It's sweet. It's funny. But I think Pixar has sort of, speaking of painting itself into a corner, they were so groundbreaking for so long that they almost get judged harshly on every single thing they do. And when they make a movie like Lightyear, which I again, it's capital G good. It's a good movie, but it's not, you know, what they've been doing before, where they just keep showing us new things, you know, that we've never seen and doing it on A+ levels. So then it can't help but feel like, oh yeah, oh well, okay. You know, like it's kind of this funny problem that they have.
So in essence, Brian, this is Michael Jordan's problem when he played for the Wizards.
Yeah, sure, that's pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, because it's still, and when I was watching it, I actually thought no one is making, you know, kids movies at this level. Like, the writing is so sharp, the animation is just, I think we begin to take it for granted. We're just so used to it because it's gotten so good. But when you see someone like really doing a good job, it's easy to almost not even notice it anymore. But I was like, this is everything is like, the score is great. It's Michael Giacchino. Like it's all great, you know, but I can see where this one could easily get lost amongst the others, you know?
Right. Well, and to that point, I mean, it does feel like Disney got done dirty, or rather Pixar got done dirty by Disney.
That's a whole thing. Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, for the last several years, their releases have gone straight to Disney Plus. And so we're talking Luca and Soul, and I mean, technically Onward, in that, you know, it had only been in theaters for a few weeks.
Yeah.
And so I think audiences just got conditioned to wait for Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, I wonder if there's a little bit of that with Lightyear.
Certainly with Lightyear, and also, I mean, like Doctor Strange is already streaming, I think, now.
I know it's
right?
today. It's on Disney Plus today. But Doctor Strange made almost $1 billion before hitting Disney Plus.
Very true. And I was reading an article somewhere that was saying, when a movie goes straight to streaming, it can get good reviews or okay reviews, and some people catch it, but it doesn't really, the conversation doesn't seem to last long with it. But when you put a movie in theaters, it almost gives it this stamp,
Yep.
that it's special, and then it makes money. And then when it arrives on streaming, it feels like a bit more like, oh, that thing that was only available here for a minute is now available here. And you feel this extra sort of pull toward it. And I think that might be true. I think that still might be true.
Well, I think that's absolutely true in that streaming has now taken on the role of what used to be VHS/DVD/ Blu-ray.
Yeah. What's funny, by the way? You don't watch Barry, right?
Not yet. I plan to.
There's a really funny joke where this agent is talking to someone, and they're saying, like, you should work with this person. He used to work in features, but now he works in streaming. But streaming is beginning to creep into the feature space.
That's hilarious.
It's just the circle. It's so funny.
I mean, everything has changed. I was reading about how Kevin Costner, you hear about this? He's got this epic Western that he's making.
I saw the headline. I don't know the details.
Yeah, it's this 8-hour thing so it was planned as one big movie, and it's going to be split up into 4 movies that are like 2.5 hours each or something crazy. And obviously that's not even intended for theatrical. I think it's going to be Paramount Plus or something. And so I was like, that's the type of thing that streaming allows for, is something completely bonkers, right? Like
totally.
Like, because I'm here, I'm like, Kevin Costner's got this 10-hour Western epic. Sign me up. I want to watch that, like, on release day,
Right.
And this is the first movie he's directed since 2003.
Wow. What was that? Postman?
What? No, Postman was late 90s. He did Open Range.
Right.
Which, remember the history of Open Range with us?
With you and I, yes, I do.
For those of you who are listening, like, what the hell? The day before my wedding, Brian and Sean came up for the wedding, and the night before we were going to go see we were hanging out. We were going to go watch Open Range, and we bought our tickets. We were on our way, and then certain family members got real upset because I was not hanging out with them instead of hanging out with my friends, which I think, as the person getting married, I'm entitled to do. And thus we had to cancel our plans. And here we are almost 20 years later, and I still carry a grudge over that whole experience. I
actually do have a very a visual memory of being in front of that theater and then turning around.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so the ironic thing is Open Range, which, if ever a movie demanded to be seen on the big screen, I did not, in fact, experience on the big screen. Instead, I watched a DVD on a portable DVD player on an airplane. So it was like a 6-inch screen.
Right.
But it is, in fact, a very good movie. So it is. If you haven't seen it, you've got like.
I actually don't know if I have. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's Costner, Robert Duvall. Very. I mean, that's his domain.
Absolutely,
Costner. So my point is, this movie called Horizon. I'm like, whatever. And Costner even said, he's like, they're gonna do whatever with it. They'll probably cut it up into 45-minute episodes or whatever. But when it's going to be first seen, it'll be as 4 2.5 hour, 3 hour movies.
Right.
And that's what you can do with streaming. That's the upside. The downside is there's so much shit. Like, this will probably rise to the top more. I certainly hope, because I'm rooting for Kevin Costner. But a lot of stuff that goes to streaming just gets swept away.
It's hard. This isn't exactly the same, but I was just reading a review of the new Beavis and Butthead movie on Paramount Plus.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually getting good reviews.
Yeah, I
saw
that.
I was like, oh, well, I could watch that for 80 minutes or whatever it is, but I don't have Paramount Plus. So it's just, it's so funny. All these things
you're like,
not available to everyone. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's a shame. I have a big problem with the siloing of these
Yeah.
of these titles. You know,
Yeah.
it's like unless you're a Disney, where I think most streaming households have Disney Plus,
Right.
possibly HBO Max, but once you move further tiers down, it's less likely.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's another letter we got, Brian. This is from Alex, who emailed us from Australia.
Whoa.
And he says, "Hi, Zaki and Brian. Today I listened to your episode on Zack Snyder's Justice League, and my ears pricked up at the mention of I Care a Lot,"
Yeah. Yeah.
which was something you mentioned.
Mhm.
He says, "A messed up drama about immoral people getting themselves into some shit? That sounded right up my alley, so I checked it out, and it is indeed a great film. No wonder Rosamund Pike won awards for her performance, and like Brian, I enjoyed not knowing how the film was going to end."
Yep.
Brian makes good recommendations.
I try. You know, well, it goes back to what we just talked about. If that, I think I said this when I talked about it. Had that movie come out in theaters, I think more people would have talked about it. But it was, I think, Netflix. I think it's very good, but it's just you either caught wind of it or you didn't, and now it's way downriver, and you know, more.
Yep.
Keeps coming down the pike.
People don't care a lot.
Right.
Alex goes on, "I recently discovered your podcast, starting with your commentary on The Godfather. I'm a huge fan. I'm wondering if you have a Patreon or some avenue through which people can financially support the podcast. I would be totally down for that.
Oh, wow.
Kind regards." Thank you, Alex. And number one, it's cool to me that somebody jumps on recently. I mean, because we just did The Godfather a couple months ago.
Yeah. Man, that's
I tend to think
awesome.
our listeners, it's like kind of baked in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, me too. No, it's like really encouraging hearing that. So thanks. First of all, I'm really happy that you're enjoying the show, but also thanks for letting us know. It's like, it's really cool to get this kind of feedback and be able to interact.
And as far as a Patreon, you know, that is something that we have talked about, Brian.
Yeah.
But as is often the case, we're both so insanely busy that neither of us has had the bandwidth to set something up.
I know. It's funny because I mean, this truly is a labor of love, right? And it's what keeps us going. And so at some point, yeah, we should sit down and figure out maybe something like that could work. And in doing that, obviously, we'd want to figure out what we could do to make that special. Also, you know,
what are the bonuses?
Yeah.
But thank you, Alex, for putting that on our radar. That is something we will definitely get back to.
Yeah. Thanks, Alex.
And this is a note we got from Mark Lachance at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. And he says, "Zach and Brian, love the show and have been listening for the past few years. I recently listened to your Batman Returns commentary," and that we just dropped that last week. He says, "I saw the film opening night back in 92, and I was 17 at the time. Loved the film and saw it 2 more times in the theater and bought the VHS. I recently rewatched, and although Keaton and Pfeiffer are great, I found the film to be rather campy, and DeVito was just disturbing," which is, I think, the same thing that you and I came away with.
Yeah.
On all fronts, Keaton, Pfeiffer, camp, and DeVito.
Yep.
I'm a longtime Batman fan, and my favorite film is Batman Begins, and my top Batman is Affleck, with Keaton a close second.
Oh, nice.
Affleck is quite beloved, at least from what I've experienced. I think I said before, my 13-year-old Ben Affleck is his favorite.
Wow, man! It makes you sad that he didn't get a standalone film, right?
Matt Reeves was even talking about, like, the Affleck script for the Batman was great.
Yeah.
And then Reeves was like, "It's a shame that I rejected it outright."
But you can understand. I mean, I understand that, but it is a shame, you know? Like, there should be like a website for all these great scripts you hear about that they're just never going to make, because it's a shame that they can't be enjoyed.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, some of this stuff, I mean, like Trevorrow's Duel of the Fates script got out, right?
That's true. And
so I think we'll see it one day.
Yeah. What was the other one? The guy who did Shawshank Redemption. My brain's starting to slow down.
Darabont, Frank Darabont.
Darabont, yes, his Indiana Jones script. I remember hearing about that when Crystal. Yeah, yes. Well, there's that one. There's a couple of the Martian.
Wasn't Darabont's the Saucerman? I thought that was
I can't remember. There's definitely one that was years before him That was a aliens themed one, and then there was his, which you read about, and I was like, someday I hope to. Oh, there it is. Like I remember that one appeared shockingly quick.
That's right.
At that time.
I feel like Darabont's was the one where Indy gets married at the end, and it has like Short Round. He's like an adult.
Yeah, I'd be kind of curious to flip through that again. I remember him being on like a boat going down a river and sparring with some love interest. It wasn't Marion. Yeah. But speaking of the Batman Returns commentary, that's basically what Mark wrote. That was kind of our takeaway from it also upon revisit. But also, we got a message from Paulo who said to me, or through you, tell Brian it's the discs that shoot out of the Batmobile that hit the skeletons on the motorcycles. Because ever since I saw that movie, they do this insert shot of these flaps opening on the Batmobile, and I thought it was supposed to be like the flaps were clotheslining the skeletons off the motorcycle, and I was like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, it doesn't reach them. But he posted a picture as well. Those flaps are opening disc shooters. And so I went back and rewatched it on YouTube, and my mind was blown. I don't know how all these years I never saw those discs shooting out and hitting those things off the motorcycles. So Paulo, thank you. I'm so glad you reached out and sent that. That was really cool to see. So
you're never too old to learn something new.
I know. It was awesome.
The reactions to the Batman Returns commentary track have been very just spanning the spectrum. People who love that movie, people who despise that movie. However, either way, enjoying what we had to say about it, which is of course very nice.
Yeah, it was such great feedback. We really appreciate it.
I have to admit, I felt a swell of accomplishment because with that track, we have completed all the prior Batman solo movies.
Wow.
From 89 to 2012.
Wow, it's amazing. And it was fun. We hopped off that one, and I think we were both like, "Man, I just had a really great time."
I know it was a lot of fun. I'm excited for that. Well, we're hoping before our next regular episode drops that we'll get to watch Thor and do a commentary track for that.
Yep.
So we'll kind of keep. I was thinking like that. An extra incentive for me, at least, to knock that out is that would be we'd close out phase 1 of the MCU.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Because the only one you and I didn't do in phase 1 was the Incredible Hulk. I did a track with Glenn Greenberg for that.
Yes, which I listened to and I really enjoyed.
And that track specifically was especially great because Glenn Greenberg is not only a Hulk comic book writer, but also just probably the biggest Hulk fan you could ever want to know.
Yeah.
So just a fountain of information. But yeah, I mean, we've methodically worked our way through phase 1. So I'm like, I really want to do Thor and,
oh, definitely. And then release a box set.
That's right. It's speaking of that with Thor: Love and Thunder. I mean, that's coming out in a couple weeks. The anticipation doesn't feel particularly high to me. Am I wrong?
It's so hard to gauge these things now.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe because they happen so frequently. Like with Doctor Strange, it seemed like a normal amount of buzz. Not like, when a new Star Wars film was coming out, it was just like, stop the world. Like I remember when Force Awakens came out at work, it was like a holiday. When we were in the office, everyone was wearing their Star Wars shirts. Everyone was going somewhere that evening. And so not getting that sort of level of vibration with the Marvel films. Yeah. I've been like, oh, I wonder if, I wonder how well they'll do, but then they always perform.
And I have no reason to think this one won't do well, but I mean, to your point, doesn't it feel like there was more buzz for Doctor Strange right about now than for Thor?
That is a good point, and I'm wondering where I'm getting that from. Honestly, I mean, is it like Twitter, sort of like if something's trending, or how do you sort of gauge that?
Just like a general level of I don't know. Actually, that's a good question.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Actually, it's funny because when we saw Lightyear at the theater, we were talking with a guy. They have like a little bar in that theater. Okay. And so we were just sitting there because we got there early. And we were talking with the guy there, and he was like, It was hilarious. He was like totally, and I say this affectionately, but he was kind of like comic book guy come to life. And he was like going on about the new Thor movie. And it was funny because usually I have these conversations with you, and I was just like, oh, it's fun being out talking to a stranger about this. But he was pretty jazzed. So,
Okay. Well, if that guy's jazzed, that might, yeah. I have no idea. I mean, I'm definitely at that point where I ask my students, like, how you feeling about this? And some of them are like, oh, some are like, I'm excited,
I just have this feeling. I absolutely understand what you're saying because I'm sensing that too. I'm not feeling or even like the people are immediately around me sort of talking about it or trying to figure out to see it together.
Like, it's not like, another one. It's not like that.
And I think he's a really beloved character too,
Yes.
like generally by the fans. So I just have a feeling, it's going to do really well. And
yeah, I'm curious. It's, I see it, like 2 weeks ago, Mikhail was working his way through the Pirates movies.
Oh,
so he was just like waking up and, he just hops on Disney Plus, watches one of them, and he watched all 5 of them.
Wow.
And I was like, and for him, last time he saw them was probably when the last one came out, so 5 years ago. So he wouldn't really remember it, So this is kind of his first time, right? And I was like, "What'd you think?" And he's like, "Eh." But you watched all 5 of them. Like,
right.
That's like finishing a bag of chips, like a big party-sized bag of chips, and being like, "I didn't like it."
That's not what I was expecting at all. I thought maybe he didn't like them all or something, but why did he keep going?
Here's the thought I had. I was like, I think he was mostly on board at the start, but his interest completely tapered off by the end. And I was like, isn't that kind of how people feel about those movies?
That is true. And I did keep seeing them, to be fair. I actually left my house. So he didn't even have to do that. And I do have like a completionist sort of thing, where if I start something and there's like 3 more episodes or movies, I'm like, I'll probably do it just to cap it off.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. To me, the Pirates phenomenon is very fascinating because I feel like certainly when it was a trilogy, it was fairly beloved, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, now I don't feel like it occupies any cultural capital anymore.
No, it's one of those weird things, isn't it?
Yeah. And completely separate from all of the Johnny Depp stuff.
Yeah.
Like it was already kind of dying on the vine before that.
I could see having to explain to a younger person that it was a phenomenon and they would be like, really? Like if they don't remember that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's Mikhail's, there's his review.
Yeah. Which is funny because I actually remember kind of liking the 5th one.
I remember you liking it too.
Yes.
I remember. I honest to God, Brian. If you asked me to describe what happens in any of those movies, I couldn't do it.
I would never.
If you were like, tell me about a plot point in at World's End or whatever, I'd be like, there's a boat somewhere in there.
Yeah, the curse. I'm assuming. Yeah.
Jack Sparrow acts drunk, I think,
Right. Well, I think the trilogy just got so wrapped up in its own mythology that, it started to feel like homework a little bit. But I remember the 5th one was just a spectacle. In my mind, that's how I remember it. Like, it was just a bunch of set pieces, and I remember they were really good. Like, I remember he was in, like, stocks or something. Like, he had his... and he was doing like a sword fight where he had this big wooden block on his chest, but he was, inhibited. And then there was like a moving house. You remember that? There's like a house on logs.
But this is all Act 1, dude. Like that's.
Oh, really?
It is. It's like that's all. The first half hour.
Well, I'm not going to say it was a good story, but I will say I do remember being impressed by the spectacle of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think. When we think about like 2005, how beloved Johnny Depp was in that role, and how now it's like he's like he testified like I'm not doing another Pirates movie. I think most people are like, all right, well,
right,
that's fine,
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll have more to say about Thor, and hey, maybe Pirates of the Caribbean 6. I don't know what news will break between now and the next time we record.
And isn't that what makes this exciting?
It really is, and it really does. Yeah. So hopefully we'll be back soon with a commentary track for Thor, the first Thor from 2011. Fingers
Yep.
crossed for that.
Yep.
But in the meantime, Brian, anything you want to hype up?
Man, yeah, there's a lot of things in the works at the moment, but Puppy Dog Pals continues to air on Disney, Disney Plus, and Disney Junior.
And of course, you've got the Young Jedi Adventures coming soon. Hopefully,
coming soon. 2023. So
it's a long wait.
I know, but it is fun being in the thick of it now, I will say.
I'm really looking forward to you being able to talk about it more as it gets closer.
Yeah, me too. It's funny because when Celebration happened, it was sort of like the first tier happened where it was like, okay, now you can say it exists. And then, there are other tiers, where I don't even think we're supposed to talk about what we do. And then there's who's in it, and those sorts of things. It'll be fun as the continue, like the art. I mean, I can say it's animated, but the art is just gorgeous, and the character designs, and I've seen animatics, and I can't wait for more to be revealed.
Well, speaking of Star Wars, I have a new piece up in the Chronicle today as we record this, and it is entitled "Star Wars Fans Couldn't Wait for Obi-Wan Kenobi, Then They Ruined It." So we're kind of poking the bear a little bit.
I read it though; it's very good.
This is a commentary not merely on Obi-Wan Kenobi, but also the really shitty aspects of fandom that have just, I feel like, gotten worse.
You know what I suddenly had a visual image of was in Tommy Boy, when he's trying to talk about how he ruins every sale, and he's got that muffin or whatever it is, and he's just like, I love it, and then you squeeze it too tight, and because I care and whatever, and then I kill it.
That's Star Wars fans, yeah. Right. A lot of them anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you can check that out, and of course, keep it peeled at the date book at the Chronicle, because I'll also be reviewing Minions next week. So that's a coming. Also, make sure you go to Apple Podcasts and leave a review if you like what we're doing. And of course, if you have any questions or comments for us, you can email us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. And you can also hit like on our Facebook page, facebook.com/moviefilmpodcast. And of course, if you're looking for me online, you can find me on Twitter at Zaki's Corner. That's ZAKIS Corner. And until next time, on behalf of my partner Brian Hall, my name is Zaki Hassan. This has been Movie Film 250. We'll catch you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Welcome, friends, it's the Movie Film Podcast. Movie Film Podcast, enjoy the show. Zaki